party here every Wednesday night. You gotta get out and be a part of it, especially now when it's such a special time in history. Are you ready? I'm Dennis Mitchell, host of Breakfast with the Beatles. We got a lot of stuff to tell you and a lot of stuff to share with you through the evening. Keep an eye on the monitors. We got shots of the Fab going back 20 years up there for the first half of the show, just stuff you might enjoy if you weren't around when they first got going. So, if you're ready, it was 50 years ago today that the Beatles came to Vegas to play. They were never really out of style, so they stayed at the Sahara for a while. We're gonna have some fun, you see, reliving all this history. Now let me introduce to you the band everybody wants to grab, Las Vegas' very own The Fab. Dennis Mitchell, everyone! 1, 2, 3, 4! Last night I said these words to my love. I know you never even tried. Born with his thumbs tweeting stuff. It's John Castellamines from the Las Vegas Sun. Thanks for joining us, John. Great night, eh?
This is, we should have 50th anniversary celebrations more often. I think we're gonna have some more, right? Yeah.
You're darn right. The Fab is going to be on top of it. 50th anniversaries from here on out. We've got Beatles for Sale coming up, the Rubber Soul to help the Shea Stadium next year. Now, I got to pin you down. Last October, you took a little trip down to LA. Tell us who you saw and what you said.
I was with, I can't remember exactly what I said. This is the Ringo trip. This is when Ringo Starr released his book called Photograph, they also announced his tour dates for the upcoming tour. The only U.S. dates were in Las Vegas. There was one that was at the Pearl at the Palms. And I was on a junket where we followed Ringo from announcement to announcement, and I stalked Ringo Starr for like an afternoon in all these press events, and I was the very last journalist to talk to him. And I came up and introduced myself. I was wearing a blue shirt, and he looks at me and he says, "Haven't you got enough by now?" I said, "I just need 5 more minutes." So he sat down and we talked about Las Vegas and his experience here and his book, and he couldn't have been friendlier. And it was very gratifying to meet him and know that he was that way. He couldn't have been nicer. He asked me questions about Las Vegas, what it was like to live here. He was very inquisitive. And they did a book release party and had the show here at the Pearl a couple months later.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Man, talk to a Beatle in LA. Thank you so much for joining us, John. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for the coverage of the event and just being a great Beatlehead, man. John, here is the Convention Center marquee as it appeared on Paradise Road on August 20th, 1964. The place where the concert actually wound up. It was intended to be in the Sahara at the Congo Room, which holds 700 people. Can you see it, people? The Beatles, 700 people in a nightclub. And there you got the Review Journal coverage of the band landing. The reporter they sent wasn't real crazy about them. We'll get to that here in a little bit. And here they're actually debarking from their plane at Buchanan Airport in the middle of the night. And there's John coming through the gauntlet there as they pass through and try to get to their limousine. We have some awesome footage coming up here in a minute of them trying to get into the limousine. Here, the famous shot, 22nd floor, Sahara Hotel, overlooking the Las Vegas Strip with nothing on it. You notice there isn't a whole lot back. There's no Luxor. There's no nothing, really. Just a couple of hotels and the Beatles digging it. And we understand there were girls down at the pool flashing them the entire time because they couldn't get up to the room. Another infamous set of photographs that nobody seems to own because we tried to find out who. The Beatles had slot machines and a blackjack table brought up to their room because they were just afraid of getting mobbed in the real casino. We keep getting told this would not be allowed in today's Nevada or in Las Vegas, but in fact, all the hotels have high roller suites, so this was one just custom made for them. Look at Paul. Come on, why is that last one a lemon? Hoping to hit, hoping to hit. Now in this one you see John sticking through there. What John is saying right now is, gambling is evil. And there's no audio, and the PR people freaked out a little bit at that, but that's John getting everybody's goat. That's our dear John. So the Beatles playing slots in their room. This is the ad that ran. Yes, the tickets were from $2.20 for the cheap seats to $5.50 to sit close. And they were only on sale for 4 days that you could get them. That is an actual ticket stub. One of the most expensive Beatles collector's items in the world is an unused Las Vegas ticket. They virtually don't exist. Even a torn stub can get you a few grand if you know anybody who's got one intact. And there's a mob reference for you, even back then, and they don't mean vegetarians. They're talking about the people who live here. And they were a mob. That guy is Kevin McGowan, had him on the show to talk about when his mom took him to the show. He was 8 years old. Just tons of stories like that. You're about to hear one here in a bit. And yes, even back then, the VIPs got to go and hang with the stars. There was your cocktail party pass if you were lucky enough to have one. And if you see the time on there, it was right before the 9 o'clock show. Here are the Beatles leaving the Sahara to get to the Convention Center. And their motorcade that had to take them, an eighth of a mile. This is the backstage news conference at the Convention Center, the corrugated steel door there. And now we're in the building and the show is underway. They played 2 shows, one at 4 o'clock, one at 9 o'clock. And in every picture you see, there are more cops than Beatles. They were very well protected when they were in Las Vegas. Maybe a little too much so. Actually, the sheriff gave him a pretty bad time. If you saw George Knapp's piece, Sheriff Lamb was no Beatles fan and really didn't have much time for all that. Required them to get work permits. Do you think if Dean Martin was playing, he'd have made him get a work permit? Kind of doubt it. And all the support acts had to get work permits. The support acts being the Exciters, the Righteous Brothers, Bill Black Combo, and Jackie DeShannon even had to go get a work card. Aren't these great shots? Big fat smile on Ringo's face in that. And pretty soon we get into the color photographs that have surfaced in recent years. And it's just a great part of the heritage. And like I said, we started to try to find out who owns the pictures of the Beatles in Las Vegas, and the answer was nobody. We couldn't find anybody who claimed real ownership of the ones outside of the Sahara Hotel. And some of these are quite rare, some of these pictures. And here we go with the color shots that are just so fun to look at. When we come back with the Fad, they are going to recreate the entire set that was done here in Las Vegas 50 years ago tonight. And these are some awesome shots. And you see the Rickenbacker over there with John. There's a great shot from behind the stage. There you go. Look at that. That'd be awesome to be at. Oh, if you could only imagine it. And that's what we're here to help you do. And coming up here in just a bit after the color shots, we'll just see a little bit of their arrival. And then we'll have another special guest. They were up on the stage. But Imagine, if you will, being there that night, picking up a copy of 8 Days a Week. Did you know that the cover shot of the picture sleeve was in Las Vegas? As was this one, I Feel Fine, She's a Woman, also taken in Las Vegas. So if that's in your old 45s collection, you got a little memorabilia from our show. And here we go. This rare footage just surfaced recently, was released by the LVCVA. George Knapp turned us on to it a good week before it showed up anywhere else. Here are the Beatles arriving in Las Vegas in the middle of the night, debarking the plane, and this gets pretty crazy. This is beatlemania at its best, people, and Las Vegas was right there. You're talking about Hollywood Bowl the same week and the craziness. Las Vegas made its mark with beatlemania on this. No tube taking them to the concourse. No, they went right down to the tarmac, walked over to their limo, and were hustled off to the hotel right quick. But it's when they get to the hotel that this gets pretty darn interesting. There's Derek Taylor with him, press officer extraordinaire, left us too soon. And here's the arrival. I want you to watch the lower right of the screen. Watch her. Oh, hi, look, here's a car. Now I'm going to grab you by the neck because the window's open. And chaos broke out right after that. You can see, I mean, look, they're being hustled around, grabbed at. Look at this. Paul, none to it. Hey, Paul, I think I'll just grab you by the neck right now. A mob scene as they're entering. There's John. Just extreme chaos and beatlemania at the back door of the Sahara Hotel. So, you gotta, where were all those cops? And there's a very rare shot of the actual Sahara marquee showing that they presented the show at the convention center. Ringo, all of now, 50 years ago, almost to the minute, because the 9 o'clock show was about to start at the Las Vegas Convention Center Rotunda, and 8,000 happy, lucky fans were inside. Here we are, remembering it all, reliving it all with our good friends, the Fads. Las Vegas concerts, a lot of you may not know, there was a little bit more. The last song of the 9 o'clock show the Beatles did was apparently a special favor to somebody because they didn't do it anywhere else on the 1964 tour, and as a matter of fact, they never performed it again, ever. Take it away, boys.
Well, we've got a lot of love going on in the room tonight, don't we? I think, if I look at some of your faces, I think we've caught you by surprise. The Beatles in the second set threw this one in. I think it was because Liberace asked them to. In those days, he did what Liberace said because he and Elvis were king, of course, right? Come on, make some noise, everybody. Here's a love song for you.